Okay guys, time to put up the videos about solving quadratic functions. Start off with, I'm going to show you solving quadratic functions with square roots. This is one out of the 4 ways we have talked about in class to solve a quadratic function. And remember again, I want to keep emphasizing that the solution to a quadratic function is where it hits the x-axis. So anytime we solve these quadratic functions, we're finding out exactly where it's going to hit the x-axis. Maybe twice, maybe once, maybe not at all. Whenever you have a quadratic function that has no b value, you can see the a value in front of x squared and you can see the c value, but no b value. There's no x to the first power. Square roots is the fastest way to go about this. You're trying to get x by itself, so you need to get rid of the plus 2, the coefficient of 4, and the exponent of 2. So this is going to take 3 steps. Getting rid of the plus 2 with a minus 2 would give us 4x squared equals 36. Remove the coefficient of 4, who's multiplying by dividing both sides by 4. That will give us x squared equals 9. And then finally, to remove the square, you take the square root. What you have to keep in mind about these, however, is that anytime you are taking the square root of both sides of an equation meaning you have a variable involved, like x, you have to consider the possibility that x was not just positive 3, which is the square root of 9, but also negative 3. Positive 3 squared is 9, and negative 3 squared is 9. So both of those answers are correct. You can write them both out separately, or you can use the shorthand symbol, like so. Second question. A little bit more complex. We have a quantity that's being squared this time, not just the x like the last equation, but a whole quantity of x minus 3. We also have numbers of positive 7 and 5 that we need to get rid of. To get rid of the positive 7, I would subtract it. That will give me 5 times the quantity x minus 3 squared equal to 105. A lot of students make a mistake here assuming that you can take this 5 and do the distributive property with it. You can't. The fact that it's being raised to an exponent of 2 takes the distributive property out of play here. So because that 5 is multiplying, we can get rid of it another way, and that is just by dividing. (105) divided by 5, 21. Finally, to get rid of the squared on my quantity x minus 3, square root both sides. That is going to give me x minus 3 is equal to, and now I'm going to get a decimal because I'm taking the square root of an irrational number. I do not have my calculator on me, surprisingly, but I know it is going to be 4 point something. Let's call it like 4.7. You might want to double check me on your calculator that. But it's not just 4.7. You have to keep in mind that when you take the square root of both sides of an equation, you have to account for positive and negative. A lot of times students, when the answer turns out to be a decimal like this, they forget that, so I want to make sure you don't. So positive and negative 4.7. Finally, I need to get rid of the minus 3 with a plus 3. Have to do it to both my answers on the right. And so I get two solutions here for x, about 7.7 and negative 1.7.